Good morning, everyone. Welcome to HBT Swyx and Microsoft Teams webinar. Hope you'll find this really informative today. We're really excited about the news we have in terms of this integration with Swyx and Teams. Just to give you a little bit of background, HBT are the oldest and most experienced privately owned telephony company in the UK. We have over 50 years experience in delivering independent telephony solutions. The journey we've been on in the last 30 years has seen more change in the last 2 years than ever before, and I'm sure you'll find the same in your own businesses. The way we work and communicate has changed. This has been accelerated by the pandemic. The significant change we have seen is how businesses, employers and employees have easily adapted to remote working. The take-up of Teams has been astronomical. The only part of this that's been frustrating, certainly for us, is the lack of telephony functionality within Teams. Well, really excited. We have got a solution for this to fix. The biggest challenge is to find something that was functional, truly integrated, and sensible in terms of investment. I think we'll all agree Teams provides some great functionality from a collaboration perspective, but lack that telephony function that businesses require. Well, we've finally got that solution. We have the ability to provide users with the choice of whether a Swyx client or Teams client is used without any complexity of licensing. Swyx provides unrivaled telephony functionality. This sits at the heart of our integration, enabling users to use Teams as their primary communication interface, whilst maintaining high levels of voice features. We're going to go through this with you today and demonstrate how we can integrate the two platforms. So from a user's perspective, they only see one. I'm going to hand you over to Mark, who will go through a demonstration of how this will work. There's a question box that you'll find on your screen. If during the demonstration you have any questions, please pop them into the chat box, and at the end of the demonstration, we'll answer those questions for you. Thank you. Over to you, Mark.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ronnie. So you're all Swyx users, so I don't have to tell you the advantages of Swyx. Two solutions, Swyx and collaboration tools from Teams. If you want to hit the next slide, yeah, thank you very much. So we've got over 20 years experience in telephony, of course, and we know what to do. And it's not just about making telephone calls, of course. You've got other devices you want to use. You've got the door entry system. You've got faxes. Yeah, some people are still using faxes. And you've got this intelligent call routing system. So you're in control of the calls. Office 365, we actually use internally in Swyx as our internal communications platform, because as you may have seen in all the press, we've grown massively over the last 18 months. With over 1,000 employees now, we really need a collaboration tool that works at enterprise level, and you cannot beat Teams at that, but not as a voice system. So what we wanted to do is take the best of both worlds. And if we move on to the next slide, we can show you what we're doing. Wouldn't it be great if you could have all the benefits of Swyx, but only have the one application on your desktop? At the moment, your options with Teams are have Teams application on your desktop and your telephony application, two separate applications, and you've got two windows and you're juggling between the two. You want to know if one particular extension is in use or not, you have to look at the phone system. If you want to know if someone's chatting on a video conference call, you have to look at the Teams solution. So wouldn't it be nice if you put everything in one application? And that's exactly what we're doing. And unlike all the other vendors, we're doing it a little bit differently. And this comes from the innovation that we've always had at Swyx. We were one of the first companies to do a voice PBX back in 2000. In those days, it was all early adopters, software only. So we know how to do this. So we've taken the best parts of Swyx and we've embedded it into the Teams client. And the real advantage of this is, unlike what you'll see other people are doing. This isn't direct routing. This isn't connecting your telephone numbers to Microsoft and doing everything through there. This is, and that of course requires additional licensing from Microsoft. If you're a small business, you'll be on small business voice. And if you're an enterprise, it means an E3 and E5 licensing just to get voice into Teams. And then when you've got voice into Teams, you'll wish you hadn't put it there because you've lost all that fancy cool routing and the other stuff that you get with Swyx. So what does it actually look like? Well, let's take a look. So here you see it. You can see down the left-hand side there, we got the Swyx icon. This is an app that you'll be able to download from the Teams App Store, if you like. And inside there, you can see we've got the BLF, we've got the busy lamp field, we've got the contacts. You can click to dial anyone. You can search, and this is going to work with visual contacts, and it's going to work with any telephony device that you're currently using. So if you're using just a USB headset and you're going pure soft phone, hey presto. If you've got a physical phone on your desktop, it's going to work with a physical phone. If you're working at home and you're a home worker, it's going to work with there. I can dial manually any number. I just call up the keypad. And I get the presence information. I've got the search by name features that you're aware of. And if those that have adopted for the visual contacts, of course, this is integrating into all those other databases that you see at the back end. So we really have now given you one application on the desktop to control your telephony. And when you dial, you get the pop-up window like you do with native Teams calling, but the native Teams dialer window that pops up is just that. It is just a contact pop-up. When our one pops up, you'll see what looks like a mini version of Swyx. You've got all those extra call controls. You've got the, I want to do an ad hoc recording. I want a conference to call. So you see down there, you've got the last number redial. You've got all the features that you want in the same pop-up that you would normally see with Teams, which has a very limited functionality set. It really is a game changer. So a static screenshot so you can take it all in. You're in Teams and you want to make a phone call to someone internally. You want to see if someone's busy or not. You just look at the Swyx. You've got your phone, but you've got the call journal so you can see your missed calls. You can do the redials. You've got everything you need. Let's move on. So why would you go for this option? Why would you not take your voice and put it all on Teams? Well, we've already discussed that. Teams is a collaboration tool and it's not a telephony tool. If you want a switchboard console or anything like that, if you want to put standard phones on, a phone in the kitchen, you don't have to be a Teams user to have a phone in the kitchen. To have a door entry unit, you do not need a Teams user for that. That's just an analog extension on Swyx. Good question about visual groups. Visual groups does require the Swyx skin, but it still works. Instead of having the mini embedded dialer pop up from, this is a question, by the way, that came in from one of the viewers. If you're using visual groups, absolutely no problem, but you will see a larger skin appear because we use the ActiveX components in there to log agents on and off. So you'll see a cut down skin with just the wall board section on. Yeah, so back to what I was saying. So no licensing on Microsoft. All the functions that you expect with Swyx, like time-based call routing, voicemails, unlimited voicemails, voicemails for groups, voicemails for users, voicemails for sales departments. You just add them. There is no limit there. And of course, the all-important operators console for larger businesses that do have a traditional operator, they need to quickly see 300 people at the same time, no problem. And of course, the web integrations with the web extensions and the screen popping and all that, we still get. And of course, the licensing model is exactly the same licensing model that you're on at present. So if you own Swyx, you own the Teams integration. If you're on a recurring license model on Swyx, you're on a recurring license model with the Teams integration. And all of this is available with version 13, which will be released very, very shortly. And it didn't take long because it really is that simple. We don't have to go into masses of explanations. It's plug and play. The guys do the upgrade to 13, they put the Teams license in on Swyx, and it's working. It is that simple. So I'll let Rennie take back over, but we're convinced that this is a game changer. We understand how important Teams is to the outside world, and we're using our skill sets in Microsoft development to leverage something a little bit different and far more cost effective. I'll hand you back to Rennie.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mark. We've got a few questions. Some of them I'm going to pass to you, Mark, because I think you'll be familiar with some of these. Back onto Microsoft licensing. Can you confirm that I don't need to be on a certain level of licensing to integrate with the Swyx?
No, you do not need, as long as you've got Microsoft Teams in your environment, you do not need any additional licensing. So if you're in Office 365 with Teams on that, you're good to go.
With a hosted version, so we don't have an on-premise Swyx installation currently. How will the user experience be? Will the user experience be any different?
It will be exactly the same, because we're doing all this integration is happening on the desktop. So it doesn't matter where the server is, it's your local application.
Yeah, we have another, okay, this is a very good question. Do we have to have the Teams integration for every single user on our platform?
Absolutely not. You just buy the Teams Swyx licenses for those that want the integration. And there are a lot of people that are happy to use two applications. There are a lot of people that think, well, I don't need my Swyx inside Teams because I don't use Teams that often. I only use it to speak to my internal colleagues. And as I'm in an open plan office, the people I speak to usually just shout across the room to me. In which case, hey, use Swyx it. The choice is yours. It's about real estate on your screen and making your workflow more efficient. But what's efficient for me may be different for someone else.
Okay. This is a question from somebody in an education setting. With the Microsoft licensing that this particular question comes from in terms of education, is there anything specific that we need to add to have this integration? I think this is referring to Microsoft Voice.
Yeah, no, nothing at all. Obviously, some education establishments do qualify for a discount on Microsoft Voice licensing. But again, switching your voice to Microsoft is not, well, I'm an engineer, so I'll say it the way it is. It doesn't make sense for me to put your telephony into Microsoft and then suddenly discover you don't have the flexibility of call handling that you had with the PABX. So the fact that you can get it cheaper because you're in education doesn't mean to say you should be doing it. Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions we've had so far.
I've got a couple that have come into me. How much do compatible handsets cost? Actually, your existing handsets work with this. So if it's a Swyx approved handset and you've got the integration with the handset already, you don't need to buy specific handsets. You use the Swyx handsets. Another one I got, how will it handle a general office phone not assigned to a specific person? absolutely not a problem. That phone doesn't have to be a Teams user. You will still see that general office phone in Teams. If you are hot desking, then when you put your PIN number into that hot desk phone, it will be associated with the appropriate Teams user. And finally, this is one that Rennie can pick up. I see a comment from someone that says, we don't have Swyx. I think once you've seen this, you will get Swyx. That's one for Rennie.
Yeah. So one of the things we're planning to do after this is making contact with you and having a discussion about individual requirements in terms of integration and how Swyx fulfills anybody that isn't a current Swyx user, how the Swyx can integrate into your business, and also have the best of both worlds by integrating into Teams as well. And we're aware that they're discussions that we would need to have with each and every one of you to understand what your specific requirements would be and how that would fit into the business. Okay.
So I hope you found it useful. If you were expecting hours of PowerPoint presentation and being bored to death, I hope it came as a pleasant surprise. I hope you got the information that you expected to see.
I think the interesting thing for us as an organisation for the last 18 months, we've been looking and trying to find this level of integration, and it always came back to the real stumbling block was the licensing that we'd have to have from a Microsoft perspective. We've truly found the solution that negates the need for that additional cost from Microsoft, or even the complication of licensing just to make Teams work. So we're in a great position to be able to offer you this truly integrated solution. We are going to contact you over the next couple of days just to make contact, just to discuss further, and also we'd be very we'd welcome your thoughts in terms of what you've seen today, and how we can move that forward. So great big thank you from HBT and Swyx. Thanks very much, Mark, for giving us the time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for everyone who attended. It's
thank you.
Great to see so many people there.